Okay, we're getting ready to put this bad boy back together, and then we're gonna get after the carburetor. But I gotta take a flashlight and look up in there real quick. Now, I don't run in any salt water around here at all, but I do still like to put a little bit of Never Seas on. Doggone it. Where'd that lock washer go? Gonna have to find that. But I like putting Never Seas on all my threads just to, you know, make them so they don't make it hard to get out next time and they don't corrode. You know, 'cause you just never know what's in the water that your boat may get introduced to. So when in doubt, Never Seas so you can get it out. All right, let's see if we can stab this back up in there. Ugh. This thing's got some beef to it. Now, I did put some grease around this grommet, and I've cleaned this up really well, so hopefully we don't pinch it adversely like the previous person did. Gotta line up a bunch of stuff here. Oh, I just slipped right up in there. Nice. That was probably the easiest one I've ever done. Something must be absolutely wrong. Looks good. We're gonna go ahead and start taking this carburetors off of here so I can rebuild them, but I wanted to also take note, look at this thing. See how much wiggling is going on here? There's a lot of loose play here. I'm guessing we got a bad bushing in there. I can't get the full throttle. The way it currently sits, it won't let it. You know, even if I got it in forward gear, I can bring this around to full throttle, but it's stiff and it doesn't want to, you know, it's just not going to roll on there real easy. So we've got some, I think we got some things that are out of adjustment here for sure. And could use some new fresh lube and all that kind of fun stuff. But let's go ahead and get the carburetors off first and go from there. First thing I want to do is go ahead and get this air box off so we can gain access to the carburetors. This is weird. On top here it says 1978 Spark Advance, 55 horsepower. That's interesting, but clearly the tag is a 50 horse. And everything I've looked up on it says it's a 1983 50 horse. So this airbox could be off something else. Who knows? Now that we have the carburetor airbox off, I want to go ahead and just take a good look at what's going on here. We're going to do a few things. I'm going to check some of the screw adjustments just to see where they're at. So there's a straight up and down pretty much. Let's go. Whoa, that's bottomed out. Is that an adjustment or just a plug? That must be just a plug, huh? Yep. Yeah, that's just a plug. I thought that might have been an air mixture adjustment or something. It is not. All right. Learning together. Let's go ahead and stick that back in. Doesn't appear to be any mixture adjustments on this carburetor. You got probably a jet down here, you know, I'm guessing I won't get this out with this. Nope. This would be to drain the bowl, I presume. Let's see what comes out. This smells like two-stroke. And very thick, just like two-stroke oil. That's pretty much it. Looks like if we take these 4 1/2-inch nuts off, this carburetor, looking at these nuts on here, this carburetor's been on and off here a few times. These are pretty, they look pretty well worn, let's put it that way. I'll tell you what, there's not a lot to these carburetors. These are some of the simplest carburetors I've seen. No adjustments. You know, you got your drain plug here. I'm not so sure there's anything wrong with the carburetor as there is with that whole linkage system. Because when the guy told me, he says, well, when you give it to hit the primer, it dumps a lot more fuel in it, and it goes again, but still got to get some air. Got to be able to open up them butterflies. Nothing really in here other than a little bit of sediment. Needle and float don't look too bad. There's a lot of rich two-stroke gas in there. I'm going to pull the jet out of here. I can't see light through it right now. Shine a flashlight down in there. Well, it ain't plugged. It's just got oil in it. Boy, there I don't see any what I would call a smoking gun here at all. This all looks really, really clean, and there's just not a lot. Unless one of these holes down in here that basically run down through this way and come out down in here, unless one of those are plugged, there's really nothing here. You know, this is a primer. Squirt there. Has one on both top and bottom for the primer, but yeah, everything's wide open. There's nothing wrong with these carbs other than we're going to put some new gaskets in it. I think my bigger concern is this over here. Yeah, I think my bigger concern is just all this lost motion. Now I've got the primer here kind of taken out because I'm going to put new lines on it because those ones are pretty hard. But I think I want to get this off of here and see what's going on underneath that little billy club thing there. Let's just see what's behind this noise. Seems like a bushing with a lot of wear on it. That's what it feels like. A lot of really sticky grease in here. Right now I can feel some, when I'm rotating this handle, it moves pretty freely right there, then it gets really tight there, and then it wants to move a little more. So there's some of my resistance right there just in the throttle cable itself. So I have a feeling we're going to have to get this throttle cable out of here and get her freed up. All right, as you saw, we tore apart the whole side here and we went to the tiller handle. Now, tiller handle. If you've been following me, the previous video you would have seen, video and a half ago, something like that, you would have saw me take the entire tiller handle apart and put it back together, cleaned up, moves freely, does all the throttling things it's supposed to do. Now, all the pieces that came off the side here. I've now purchased some bushings and stuff, and I'm purchasing stuff to possibly save you money in the long run. And I'm going to tell you why. But first, I want to bring you in here and show you what I did to this. It looks nice. Now, this is all looking nice and clean. It's hard to believe this is a 40-year-old outboard looking at this here. Because I took it, you know, it gets a little grimy and grungy, and I tell you what makes you feel a whole lot better about stuff is when you clean it up. Now, I took some of this super clean liquid that you can buy in a gallon, kind of like you do Simple Green or any other degreaser, but the super clean degreaser seems to go a little bit further than your normal, like, other degreasers, liquid like that. And I spray it on there, and you get after it. Just take your time, and you'd be impressed by what, like, 20 minutes of work will do. And I take a little cheapy toothbrush and spray some some super clean in there, and then scrub it. Just take the toothbrush, just kind of work it around, and then take a water and rinse it. And it's just amazing the results you get on how clean that engine looks now. It looks like something worthy of putting it back together. Let's just walk on around here. Here's the intake side where the carburetors are going to go back on. That looks just spiffy, doesn't it? And then we go around over here to the other side where all the electricals and stuff. That just looks nice. It's clean now. And I'm excited to put it back together and hear this thing actually run, baby. Let's show you some other stuff that I used. We'll just run right over here. These hang on the side of my cart. And these are just some Chapin brand. You can buy these at any of your hardware store type things that carry Chapin products. Not sponsored by them by any means. They can send me all the free stuff they want, though. I won't blame them if they did. But these are nice because these pump up. You can pump them up, pressurize them, and then, you know, spray. And what I do is I have one full of just clean water, and I have one with my super clean in it mixed. You know, it works pretty good. I'm just saying. Just giving you a little pro tip there. Now, over to the business at hand. So this is all the componentry that we had tore apart on the side of the throttle side of the outboard engine. Now, I took all these bushings out. I spent literally, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, plus this little black piece that I've already installed in here, plus this other little knob here that I've already installed. Those pieces were about $75 with the shipping from marineengine.com. This is all, 40 years later, is still available. Now, naturally, this stuff is old. You can start seeing some hairline cracks running down through some of these things where the reliefs were. And if I was more gentle with it, I wouldn't have broke this one. But, you know, one thing I want to share with you folks, so be careful with yours, is the thickness of this. Because I thought these might have had some wear in them, right? So we're running about 28 thousandths to 29 thousandths in thickness if you measured around here. Because I was thinking maybe there's some wear and tear in here that created a little bit of looseness. But that's not the case. Brand new one measures the exact same size as the old one on all these bushings. They're about 29 thousandths. This one's a little thinner there. But about 29 thousandths wall thickness. But it doesn't have what I would call any significant wear that I would even come close to worrying about. But when I was trying to clean this one up, it broke. And I don't know how easy this one will break, but if you flex it, there's a crack developing there. And this one might not break so easy this time, but yeah, I just had a weak spot apparently. That broke. So I'm glad I bought the bushings. We're putting all the old stuff over here. The reason I replaced this particular one in this piece is it had a piece missing off of it. But it's like, had it available, I bought it. So I'll put all the old busted over here. Now these older bushings like this and the other ones I'm going to take out of a few other pieces here, I will actually keep. I'll put them in a baggie somewhere, and I've got other outboards that I'm working on. It may be, you know, better than what's in there. But everything I've got cleaned up in my solvent tank now. Got all the spring cleaned up, all the pieces and components. And we're going to put this back together, get this assembled back on the side of the outboard engine. And then once all the throttle things back in place and working like it should be, I'm going to also put some some Lucas marine grade lube on here. I'll lather that up a little bit. And where does this go? Yep, somewhere in here like that. It goes over the top of this. But we'll have some lube in between here going forward. And none of that black, I mean, I'm still getting black grease all over my new stuff. That, whatever that was, it's terrible. It's terrible. It doesn't wipe clean. And it obviously was sticky and was done doing all of its, you know, greasy stuff. The other thing we have the primer hoses that had a black primer hose on there and a clear primer hose. So I went to my local Napa store and bought me 3 foot of some nice clear primer hose. So the nice thing about this clear hose that I've been using, folks, you can get this at your Napa stores, pay for it by the foot, and I use it for my fuel lines and all that fun stuff, is I can actually see fuel moving through it. So, and I know if I'm getting bubbles or not getting bubbles, or I'm getting fuel or not getting fuel, I can see it. I don't have to guess if my fuel pump's pumping. It's going to show right there. So we're going to get busy putting this stuff back together here and on the side of the engine block. And the other thing I did, and I encourage all you folks to do this type of thing. What's going on here? Where's my pictures? Is to take pictures of all the stuff you had there before you took it apart. Now I can see exactly how everything went back together. So take pictures, because if you're not doing this for a living and do this on a daily basis, that you know how all this goes together on all the different outboards you're playing with, kudos to you. But if you don't, take pictures. Pictures, yep, there's a marineengine.com picture there. But anyway, take pictures so you know how it goes back together. I can't encourage that enough. The other thing marineengine.com has, and there again, they need to start sending me some, some payouts or something for bringing their name up way too much. But they have exploded views of this whole side piece, and it shows all the components. So let's get this turned the right direction. All these components here, or all these components here. Not all of them are available, but the nice part is you can see how each piece goes in, how it stacks up. It's exploded view right here, you know, and it goes back together. I got the same thing on the old 99 one here when I was putting it all back together. Same kind of thing. Look them up, print them off, order you some parts. And if you listen to marineengine.com, send me some stuff. Let's partner up, buddy. Okay, what else? The other thing we'll get into after we get all this back on, there again I have the 2 cheap carburetor kits, and I have the 2 from marineengine.com Evinrude Johnson genuine parts. Well, guess what? I'm going to open both packages up. We're going to lay these out on the table here side by side, and I'm going to give you my honest opinion on how each component, major component in here, feels and acts. And we'll go from there. Now, the ones that are currently in my existing, that were in there, all the parts that were there, actually are really clean. I would not be afraid to put this one back together and almost even reuse the bowl gasket, because I would almost assure you that bowl gasket is, boy, if that thing, it could be, it's stiff there. It could be 40 years old, but I just don't think it is. I think it's been touched before, okay? As I'm putting this back together, I'm tossing around, do I go ahead and put this together slowly with you watching? It's only going to take about a minute and a half. Or do I just jump right into, you guys are going to have to watch. That's all there is to it. I'm going to put this back together, then we'll go over to the side of the block, put this back on, and then we're going to go after the carburetors right here in front of us. All right, folks, we're back out here. What's behind me? My best IT in the world guy. Best IT guy in the world right behind me right there. I just stopped and gathered my thoughts for a second. So we're back on the 50 horse, and it's been a while. A few have been asking, where's part 4 of the 50 horse? Here it is. Obviously, you've seen a lot of it here up to this point because I started it literally months ago, but then got distracted by a few things, you know, and now we're back playing around with it, and like, I got to get some of this stuff put back together in my shop so I can take some more stuff apart, as always. Well, I wanted to show you some of the things. I've ran into this before on other outboards, and the guy I got it from, to refresh the story on it, he said, you know, it'd be going and it'd bog down really bad, and then you could hit the primer and it'd go again. Well, the primer is a direct injection right into the, I'll show you. Right here, there's a little hose, a little tiny hose that's going to go right here. There's a little hole right here that sticks right out there. And that will shoot gas directly down the throat of this thing. No carburation needed at that point. So he said he would hit that and it would go again and it would just die off, and he tired of messing with it, and he got a different mud motor and all this fun stuff, right? Well, looking at this thing here, I'm gonna see if we can get you so you can see it okay. But the way the carburetor, let's get you on the other side of the carburetors here, because that'll make more sense then. So right here on the side of the carbs, this is the fuel pump right here, fuel coming in, pumped in, pressurizes this setup here. And this is coming down underneath the starter. Ignore the yellow line for now. That's for a future thing here in a minute. But this sits here, and then one line was here, and then let's just bend this around here like this and stick it on there. This was the setup. Well, as you can see right here, Kinksville. So as this got warmer underneath the hood for any kind of temperature or whatnot, it would start choking off the fuel. Well, then when you hit the primer, you inject fuel right back up into here. There's one on each carburetor for priming it for starting. Doesn't have a choke. So this is not cool, right? So I'm gonna, and then on top of all that, whoops, that came out. Here we go. On top of all that, got these hose clamps that are just, you know, monstrously nasty, and then they got a zip tie here, and you got another T here. But all these T's are necessary for what we're hooking up. But anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. So we're gonna get busy putting this side back together. Let's get back over here. Right now, this isn't all back together. I've just kind of thrown some bolts in here, kind of got an idea how it goes back together again. I'm gonna then pull pieces off, put lubrication on it, and this here's the primer. As you can see, this yellow line is coming off the primer. This primer will go right back up in here like this. This will be grounded up in here, and we're getting really close. So I'm gonna pull this back apart. This is just a test fit. It already, since I did the old fixing of the handle, throttle grip piece, all this already actually moves so much better, even it's just cleaned up and got the sticky grease out. I'm gonna put some of that good marine lube in there, that Lucas marine grease, and it's just gonna get that much better. And we're gonna be really close to firing this thing up. Actually, this video, the goal, when you're seeing this right now, it's probably because I've got it running, and you gotta hang around to the end to see it run. Plus, other announcements coming. All right, I'm gonna put you on time lapse, because there again, this is just bushing stuff, bolt stuff, and nothing fancy stuff. They've got exploding diagrams of this all over marineengine.com, so check them out, and we can work from there. All right, we're gonna go into super speed, and we'll see you in a minute. Okay, boys and girls, we're back out here with the carburetors, and I wanted to show you the difference here. So this was on the left here is the Evinrude, excuse me, Evinrude Johnson BRP genuine part, right? About 30 bucks for that kit from marineengine.com. Super cheap kit over here for about $13 a piece, roughly. So this is basically double this one. The biggest difference I can see, I'll leave this laying right here. This one comes with a set of brushes on the cheap kit and little tiny wires for poking in holes and stuff, which actually can be kind of a nice little dealy bop to have, right? The other major difference, the gaskets feel virtually the same kind of rubber. Very, very similar. Looks same color. Not much difference there. Gasket that goes into the intake, very similar. This one looks, yeah, they look identical. Another major difference though that I noticed was the floats. This one is just a hollow plastic, you know, probably ultrasonically welded type of float here, and This one is like the original. The original that were in here were actually pretty good floats. Come on, let go. And there's nothing wrong with them. They're more of a foam, solid, you know, don't have to worry about them cracking and leaking type of floats. And they're also not saturated, you know. So their floats will do the floaty thing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to not use this float here, right? And I'm going to use one of these, but I'm going to use the rest of this kit. They'll both be, otherwise everything else I see matches part for part. This BRP one has more of a red rubber. This one has more of a black rubber. And this one goes basically right down here on the base of this and seals up around your float bowl, your bowl right here. When you put this thing back together, you can see that it actually kind of holds it up a little bit and would squash right along with your gasket. But the other thing I wanted to show you, so let's go ahead and put these back together. I think it's going to go relatively quick and painless, and I'm going to do it right here live. I'm not going to slow-mo it, fast forward it, or do anything weird for you. One down, one to go. I'll talk you through this one a little bit more. The other one I'm obviously skipped through some stuff. First thing I'm going to do is replace this needle seat with the brand new needle seat. A little gasket here. Here you go to use your good, flat, wide screwdriver. I think they make actually a special tool for this. That's wide and flat and shallow blade and all that fun stuff. You know, it doesn't protrude out far. Now here's what I've noticed. Okay, all these cheap kits, and I'm just experiencing it with this one too, is that thread doesn't match up at all. It starts in, goes in a little ways, and just gets tight. And that's not right. So something's always off. When I buy these cheap sets, every time I try to put a new seat in, it doesn't thread in and line up properly. Now I'll go and open up this BRP and pull it out of there. And we'll just keep all this stuff in a pile right here. Because here again, we got with a needle seat combo. So this is where you get your money's worth here, folks, is that cheap stuff. Now I did see that they do have the BRP stuff on Amazon as well. So you can buy it there too. But now let's see how this one fits with its gasket. Not sure how the rest of the kit would be, but look at this. This one, look, threads right in there just like it's supposed to. So, if you want to go cheap versus expensive, advantage expensive right now at that point, right? So now we're going to go ahead and use the needle and seat from the expensive kit. We'll hang this on here. Get a little pin here. Do that. Then we'll adjust the float. I'm just going to grab it back here and flex it up just a touch. Too much. Now I'm going to adjust this one. This may not be right, but I'm going to adjust this one so it's just below parallel. A lot of times I'll adjust on whether this bottom of this float is parallel to the face of the base here. But I'm going to allow it to, we're going to allow it to drink a little more fuel before we shut it off. We'll see if that, makes a difference at all. You can always pop these back off. They're not that hard to put on and off, and make that adjustment. Now, out of the good kit, we're going to take this gasket here, put it on the middle tube. We'll take the other gasket, lay it right on this piece right here. Just like that. Grab our bowl. Put it on the right direction first and foremost. Get our screws all in there and tightened up. Got our bowl, drain plug here. Now you guys are going to find this part strange, because I did too at first. Because I thought normally most of your smaller outboards, you've got a little, this is your lean mixture screw. You got a needle that goes way back in here and does needle things. Well, this one does not. And if you don't believe me, you can check my diagram here. Because I went and printed this off. And sure enough, that's a regular screw like this guy. And that screw, if you lose it, there's a jet down in there as well, obviously. Number 9 there. You want to make sure that passage is clear, which mine is. Can't get a lot of air through there, but you can tell it's open. But then you got this bolt that goes in there. This bolt, if you lose this bolt, I'm sorry. You can buy them off marineengine.com, but that one little bolt was what, $21? Yeah, my son just confirmed it was 21 bucks for this silly little bolt right here. It's a fine thread, special head to fit inside there type of bolt. So don't lose it. Be careful with all this stuff. Some of it's still available, but at a cost. All right. Got the new gasket in there, but that's as simple as this is. This is not a complicated carburetor at all. There's no choke. There's only a primer that shoots, like I said, fuel directly out of that into the throat of the thing. You got your fuel going in, float shuts it off. This opens up. That goes way past center. Yeah, but that opens up and lets the big dog eat. All right. So, what's the verdict on good versus cheap? Buy the good ones, folks. Don't go cheap. I think you're gonna hate yourself if you do. Now, I don't know whether you guys do this or not, but This is a recent practice I took up, and just put a thin layer of marine grease is what I do on here. It's gonna help do something, and the something that it helps do is once you go to pull this carburetor off a year from now, 2 years from now, or if you never pull it off because you did such an awesome job and you always put good fuel in your boat or your engines in your boats, and you never have trash and stuff going through it where you have to rebuild your carburetor, this will hopefully prevent it from sticking too hard to the head or the intake manifold, so it makes it, you know, really hard to get off, and then you got to scrape it. So that's why I'm doing that. All right, now that we got the carburetors firmly attached, now we can attach all of our fuel lines. And here I'm using clear fuel line because I can see everything going on everywhere. So we got our 2 primer lines here coming from the primer solenoid. This is going to come up to here, right up into there, so we'll cut that off about yay. Before we start up this outboard that we're going to start up in a minute, hopefully it starts and runs, I got to show you this. Check out this Mavic Mini 3 Pro. Check out this Mini 3 Pro. It's not a Mavic? What brand are these?
DJI.
Oh, DJI Mini 3 Pro. I stand and sit and lie down corrected. All right, now you got to hear the noise of this thing. Don't take it straight up there. It is actually really quiet. Listen, it's spinning. We're literally 5 feet away from it. We can have this conversation. Where would it go? I can't. It blends in the background. In there. Oh, the boss is walking around the yard. Look out. But anyway, we're gonna get some Austin footage. And it's gone. Cool. Now, let me catch you up where we're at on the old fitty horse. So what we've got going on here is, and we'll see how long these hold up. Somebody told me they tried putting on this clear yellow fuel line, and a year later it was hard as a rock. Well, we'll find out, because I ain't opposed to changing it out. So this is an interesting setup here they have. So they got the fuel pump coming from the inlet, right? Comes out of the pump and towards the carburetors. I say that because it has a T here that takes it to the upper carburetor and the lower carburetor. But then it has this other T up here that goes back to the prime solenoid. And the prime solenoid has pressure on it at all times. And then that comes from the primer solenoid up to here. And this is where I showed you the direct injection. This is where it direct injects into the cylinders. So I haven't started this. I've never heard this run the whole time I've had it so far. I'm excited to see what it can do, and I'm hoping it runs. The other thing I've got set up on it, so some of you ask about timing on certain things. I didn't make any adjustments here, and this here right now isn't touching, but you see these 2 marks right here? That's your timing mark. As soon as this comes up, that butterfly starts to move, you should be in between these marks. And that's where we're at right now. And as you go to full throttle, ba-bam. Now, I couldn't get this to full throttle just by twisting the handle. But you guys, if you watch the first parts of this video, and if you go back and watch the series, you'll see that, you know, I did a lot of work in here to make that right. And I've got all new bushings in here, all new fresh grease in here, none of that sticky tarry stuff that was there. Everything is fresh. So it should work. Cross your fingers that it works. Just the pressure in the tank already pumped it up. All right, gonna give it some pumps and some squeezes and see what happens. There it is, leaking like a sieve. Gosh darn it. Fire extinguisher's right there. Yeah, but that stream is strong. Coming out of there. I wonder why it kept getting higher and higher. That's running on one cylinder. Dang, that wasn't good at all. All right, folks, what are you doing standing there? I've got a couple things I want to share with you. First of all, you heard it run. Then I got a question for you, but I think it's time, and here's for all my loyal followers on the hat giveaways that I do. Now, you remember I had BR549 on my dry race board. The answer I was looking for was Junior Samples Auto. And that's, I took some varieties of that, but there was a few people that got it right. And I'm proud of you folks. Now, the name I'm going to announce is Ryan Clark. That's your YouTube name, Ryan Clark. I want you to check in my descriptions, get my email, send me some information, and then, or send me an email and we'll chat and we'll get you a free hat sent out. Now, with that being said, I've got a problem I want my loyal followers and expert mechanics to help me with. Because like I tell you guys, I'm not an expert. I'm a guy that tinkers. I know a little bit about a lot of things. I'm not by no means an expert, but I cannot find anything on the internet to describe what's going on with this little 50 horse. And we're gonna fire it up here again in a second. And I have it out, kind of half outside, half inside. Got water coming in my shop, but that's okay right now. I just want to, is this thing on? Yeah, we're still on. Okay, I had to make sure my sound was on. I've done that before and go back and look at my video and that's frustrating, right? Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through what I've got so far. So you've seen how I put the carb back together. The little idle jet that's down in the main throat is there in both of them. I got the plug back in it. I'm just confused. So let's go over here and take a look. I thought after I stared at it for a little while, it would just come to me, but it's not. Get you clamped up here. All right. So on these, I read and studied and looked. The throttle idle can be adjusted by the timing. And when it's, completely throttled back, the magnetic circulation of going up here will actually, make this go back. Because here again, we're spring loaded. As you can see here, as this comes forward, springs engaged. then I can push it back. Or pull this and it goes back. And when it's running, you'll see this goes all the way back and has no impact on how high it's idling. So I'm gonna fire it up. I'm gonna do a couple things here. You guys watch me. And then I'll have to kill it before it gets to idling too high. She pops right off really well. She'll get almost in a runaway mode, as you just saw. So I just tried to throttle it up and stuff. But it's just not. You know, there's a stop here that I haven't done anything with. But when this goes back, I can actually force this to go back, right? And the throttle here, the throttle linkage is not touching at all, right? So the blades are completely vertical, shut off in there. But then, and I can push this back. And it just, you know, won't go down. Now, somebody said you can't adjust the idle with it not being on the boat or being on the trailer. I read that in a forum. But I could take said put it in the water, in gear, idling, and then adjust your, idle. Well, I can't get this into gear, right? When it takes off and it's running that hard, and I pop it into gear, I'm worried about just destroying something, right? So I think there's something I'm missing. I've got the timing marks just touching right there. And obviously if you go back, it's away from it. But when I start coming forward, boom, this here is right. So I'm asking for help, because you will not only help me, you will help other people on the internet that doesn't have this problem I've got going on explained. Everything seems to be sealed up pretty good. Everything seems to be working really good. This engine has never been overheated. It's got, the paint on the engine is absolutely perfect. It's got great compression because we checked that out, in part 1 or part 2. So I'm just a little confused here. And so anybody, I keep looking back at it I'm racking my head about it. So anybody that can give me in a comment the information that solves my problem, you can win a hat. And I will ship it to you. And I will announce it later on in other videos like I just did in this video. So if you can help me with that problem, leave comments. Tell me what's wrong. Tell me what you think it is. I'll go through and try pretty much everything anybody says if it makes sense, other than, well, you don't have a banana in the tailpipe. Other than something like that, right? So share with me your ideas and thoughts on what that might be, because as soon as I get that running right, which I'm highly confident, I got a new prop coming from it for it, that I just ordered the other day from Solus. I get that new prop put on there, it's ready for the water. And I'm gonna stick it on the good enough, and we're gonna see if this thing will absolutely fly. But I can't do that until I get this idle thing sorted out. It'll shift into gears and all that fun stuff just fine. Water pump that we put in, it's pumping like amazingly well. Engine is staying cold, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, just barely anything in there. I've only ran it for a total of maybe 3 to 4 minutes trying to sort this out, but I'm having a tough time, and that's where you guys come in, my expert audience. This is where I'm asking for the keyboard warriors out there. Give me some information, and you might win yourself a RMD Creations, if it ain't broke, fix it till it is, camouflage hat. All right, not available for sale yet. Win it before you can buy it, is what I'm saying. It might be a while yet before you can buy them. All right, that's all the bribery I've got for you guys to help me out. I don't know what else to do on this one. I'm gonna wheel it back in here and wait for the results to come in for the video or from you guys, and then we'll figure out what's going on from there. I am stumped at this moment in time, but we're this close, so close. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating me as like nobody's business. folks, get out there, enjoy some life. We finally got some good weather here where I'm at. It was actually about 70 and no wind. And I came home and got busy playing with some stuff. So hopefully we can string a few more of these days together and we can get a lot done outside. Got a lot of great content coming for you this summer. I've got multitude of boats to work on. I've got SCI Marine Products on board with me, providing me some products that I can show you guys and give you guys the best outcome on your projects. This is Michael saying, if it ain't broke, fix it till it is. Treat each other kind, and we'll see you on the next video. Enjoy the drone footage at the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you around, folks. Appreciate it so much. You guys are the best. I always say that.